Starship is getting closer and closer to Mars, and the third flight that the rocket just completed is proof of that. However, not everything went as Elon Musk, the head of SpaceX, had hoped. It's true that with this particularly ambitious flight, Starship was set to make a lasting mark on history. Are we truly on the verge of understanding space? That is, at least, the main goal of the businessman. But what makes this flight so special? After many failures with Starship, significant progress has been made. As such, this launch was highly anticipated. However, it seems that all the efforts made by SpaceX were not enough. Colonizing Mars no longer seems certain. Is Elon Musk's project achievable? Can we live on Mars? This option doesn't necessarily have unanimous support. For many, the billionaire's obsession might be a symptom of his madness. Can the Starship launcher really colonize Mars? With this third flight, Starship aimed to make history. But not everything went as Elon Musk and his teams had planned. First of all, it's important to better understand the goals of this giant rocket. Indeed, the colonization of Mars is not the only mission envisioned for Starship. The launcher is also intended to serve in future lunar missions under the Artemis program. It should also help consolidate the Starlink constellation. Moreover, Starship can deliver more than 100 tons of payload into low Earth orbit, equivalent to 400 satellites per flight. Thus, it has a capacity to replace the Falcon 9. However, the real advantage of this vehicle is that it's entirely reusable. The first stage, nicknamed Super Heavy, is supposed to return to the launch pad on its own after liftoff. Its role is simple. It serves as a booster, allowing the second stage to take off. Powered by 33 Raptor engines, it contains 4 different tanks that ensure thrust during liftoff, as well as the return to Earth. However, the weight of the rocket can be a real handicap. Considered the largest vehicle in the world, it weighs about 5,000 tons when fully loaded, with a diameter of 9 meters and a total height of 121 meters. As for the second stage, it descends like a space shuttle, almost horizontally. Later, it is supposed to straighten up during the final landing phase. However, SpaceX wants to make space accessible to everyone. This will most likely be possible thanks to NASA, which heavily supports the project by investing significantly. A total of $3 billion was invested between 2014 and 2023 for Starship. In 2023 alone, $2 billion was invested. These astronomical sums demonstrate the importance of the project. Despite a significant development delay, SpaceX has completed the third flight of its massive launcher, Starship. The company was therefore under close scrutiny. NASA in particular is eagerly awaiting progress. The first phase of suborbital testing must be completed to move on to the next stage of development. And the road is still long for SpaceX, especially since its last flight was not a resounding success. Next, the vehicle will have to prove its ability to enter low Earth orbit and perform various maneuvers. Finally, it will need to tackle the most delicate phase of the project, the recovery of the Super Heavy booster and Starship itself. This time, the giant was supposed to end its journey in the Indian Ocean after about 65 minutes of flight. This modified trajectory aimed to allow the company to conduct 3 additional tests beyond its primary objectives. A fine demonstration of Starship's versatility. But was SpaceX too ambitious? Is it really possible to conquer space? Nothing is certain. Indeed, the world's largest rocket has been chosen by the American Space Agency to facilitate a lunar landing. But another delay in the program is not out of the question. Besides the Artemis missions, Elon Musk aspires to transport a large number of people for long-duration interplanetary missions. However, SpaceX had to navigate a regulatory maze to obtain approval from the Federal Aviation Administration, commonly known as the FAA. Recently, the company had announced that it completed the 17 corrective measures required by the FAA. affecting both the Super Heavy booster and the upper stage of Starship. And SpaceX doesn't intend to stop there. The company continues to push the boundaries of success, prompting other players in the space industry to accelerate their own programs. Are we on the brink of a new era in human space exploration? As you've likely understood, this flight was crucial in the development of Starship. To improve the robustness, performance, and efficiency of this powerful spacecraft, SpaceX made several modifications and improvements to the rocket. Although some components were removed and others reworked, the overall architecture of the launcher remained unchanged. However, SpaceX continues to aim for continuous improvements of the vehicle. Indeed, the ground installations are now much more powerful and resilient. The rest of the facilities have been further reinforced, while the equipment has been tested over and over again. After the failures of the two previous Starship flights, this flight was highly anticipated. Indeed, the first vehicle was destroyed following a loss of control, while the second exploded in midair. Experts in the field had high hopes for this new mission by SpaceX, expecting many more flights of this vehicle throughout the year. It's true that Starship is a rocket full of hope and great ambitions. Like many others, you probably followed this third launch live on SpaceX's X account. At 2:25 p.m. French time, the spacecraft took off from SpaceX's space base in Boca Chica in the extreme south of Texas. This time, the test flight ended with the loss of the spacecraft as it returned to Earth. Nevertheless, the American company was pleased to have achieved new objectives. Indeed, the two stages successfully separated a few minutes after liftoff. Super Heavy was then supposed to gently fall back into the Gulf of Mexico, but this maneuver was not entirely successful. However, the spacecraft continued its journey for over an hour. It far exceeded the boundary of space, reaching an altitude of 200 kilometers. Moreover, more than 3 million people watched the vehicle light up with orange plasma caused by the heat of friction as it re-entered the Earth's atmosphere. But the most important phase of this flight remains the transfer of fuel. This function is crucial, as to reach the moon, Starship will need to refuel once in space. SpaceX claims a development technique based on iteration. It relies on successive tests conducted at a very rapid pace, regardless of their outcome. Each test allows the company to make progress. What would SpaceX be without its leader? Elon Musk's long-term goal is simple: to build extraplanetary bases to ensure the survival of the human race. Is Elon Musk's project achievable? Making the human species multiplanetary is the businessman's dream. He aims to save it by establishing a colony on Mars. Can we really live on the red planet? Certainly, it is the planet most similar to Earth. But isn't it hostile to humanity? With an atmosphere composed of 96% CO2, Mars is unbreathable for humans. Therefore, its geological and climatic aspects would need to be altered to make it habitable. Additionally, due to cosmic radiation, the risk of future astronauts developing various forms of cancer would increase by 5%. However, NASA sets the maximum acceptable threshold at 3%. On the other hand, there's the question of sustainable energy, essential for our survival. Solar energy seems to be the most likely option, given Mars's proximity to the Sun. But it's not feasible to install photovoltaic panels. Martian dust would compromise their proper functioning. Wind energy is also not an option, as the atmosphere is 100 times thinner than on Earth. And for now, there's no talk of installing nuclear power plants. But what about our mental and physical health? On Mars, the gravity is 3 times less than on Earth. Prolonged exposure to reduced gravity could impact bone density, muscle mass, the immune system, and mental well-being. For now, Earth remains the only habitable planet in the solar system. Yet Elon Musk has not lost hope and is determined to make his dreams a reality. But Starship is often at the center of numerous controversies. Indeed, the launcher does not comply with certain environmental standards. For example, during its second test flight, the rocket literally exploded mid-flight. Environmental NGOs quickly protested against the unprecedented damage caused by the accident. But that didn't stop Elon Musk from pushing forward with his highly contested project. Some also believe that Elon Musk is going mad. Released last September, the businessman's biography, written by Walter Isaacson, suggests this. It portrays a complex individual obsessed with space exploration, with brutal management methods and lacking empathy. Suffering from Asperger's syndrome, he is also said to be prone to unpredictable emotional swings. But that's not all. Elon Musk is also said to be a heavy drug user. A Wall Street Journal investigation mentions the concerns of Tesla and SpaceX executives regarding the billionaire's possible drug use. These practices may influence his behavior in some of his decisions. Nevertheless, the businessman has categorically denied these allegations on X. Starship has just completed its third test flight, which once again ended in failure. Yet on paper, everything seemed perfect, and this launch was highly anticipated. But the world's most famous rocket disappeared just minutes before splashdown. However, Elon Musk and SpaceX do not consider this a true failure. On the contrary, this flight was once again an opportunity to move forward. Can we really consider the colonization of Mars? What is the future of Starship? That's what we'll find out in the coming months.